In a secret military base, 4 elite soldiers were frozen in time. They were meant to be Earth's last hope, but something went terribly wrong. When they finally wake up, the world is no longer the same. Cities lie in ruins, humanity has vanished, and the planet now belongs to an alien race. This story feels like a sci-fi movie packed with mystery, danger, and a fight for survival. Watch till the end. And if you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and lose yourself in the journey. Fade in. A lone hiker trudges through knee-deep snow, battling a blizzard in the remote mountains of Montana. Above him, avalanches rumble, lightning flashes, illuminating a weathered sign buried in ice. U.S. military base. Unauthorized personnel keep out. Suddenly, the hiker stumbles, twisting his ankle. He collapses, gasping for breath. Just as he blacks out, a hidden access door opens silently and a robotic arm extends, pulling him inside. Beneath the frozen earth, a vast network of tunnels hums with activity. Inside a fortified military base, 7 soldiers awaken in cryogenic pods. Among them, Captain Luke Groaning, he pushes the cryogel off his face, revealing a grim-faced man in his mid-30s, coughing violently. He struggles to breathe, his mind foggy with As he scans the room, he sees 5 other figures stirring in the pods around him. With shaking hands, he presses a blinking red button on the control panel, the only sound echoing through the vast chamber. One by one, the other pods begin to hiss as their occupants awaken. Elisa, Jack, Rodriguez, Miller, Brown, and Thomas, all are clad in outdated but high-tech uniforms, and each seems confused, disoriented, and weak. What the hell just happened? Jack stammers, rising unsteadily from the pod. Captain McAllister asks, his voice hoarse. Elisa limps to a nearby console, wiping frost off the screen. She types a command and the answer appears on the display. Elapsed time, 31 years, 6 months. A collective gasp echoes around the room. 31 years, Jack whispers, his face drained of color. They said 6 months, a year at most. If we weren't woken up, Miller murmurs, his eyes wide with dawning horror. What does that mean? Steadying himself, Captain McAllister walks toward the command room. Everything is covered in dust and the advanced consoles are mostly ruined, likely damaged during the base's evacuation. However, one console seems untouched. Rodriguez, a wiry man in his early 20s, manages to power it up. After a moment, an archived message appears on the screen along with a clock counting down from 11 hours. Before they can react, the room falls silent. Then an audio log begins playing automatically. A distorted voice speaks through crackling static. They've taken the East Coast, LA is gone. Chicago fell last night. If you hear this, run. Hide. The recording abruptly cuts off. Silence presses down on the group, broken only by the distant hum of machinery. After a tense moment, Captain McAllister says, Earth is gone. We're what's left. Without further discussion, the group begins gathering supplies. Weapons, ammunition, food, water, and medical supplies. Luke gives quiet orders, his voice firm despite the tremor in his hands. Though their world is unrecognizable, their training kicks in. They move like soldiers, efficiently gathering supplies and readying themselves for the unknown. Hours pass before they finally manage to pry open the main hatch. An unnatural silence greets them. Where once stood tall pine forests, now strange alien flora grows. Tall plants with translucent stems and blue mist drifting from their leaves. This isn't natural, Miller murmurs, stepping out into the frigid air. Is this still America? Jack asks, gazing at the alien landscape. Yeah, Captain McAllister replies, his voice hollow, but not the one we knew. As they make their way to what used to be Billings, Montana, they find nothing but crumbling ruins and vines that faintly pulsed with bio. A sense of foreboding hangs heavy in the air. The wind whispers through the skeletal remains of buildings, carrying the faint echo of a distant explosion. Reaching an old storefront, they find shelter for the night. As darkness falls, Rodriguez manages to revive a ham radio set. Static crackles from the speakers. He switches frequencies frantically. All are dead except one. A faint voice cuts through the noise. To any survivors, this is Sector 9. Our coordinates are 44.7 north. The resistance is still alive. If you receive this message, please respond. Elisa gasps, her eyes shining with unshed tears. Someone's out there, she whispers, turning to Luke. There are others. Jack clenches his jaw, his gaze fixed on the ruined buildings around them. Then it's time we take something back. Placing a comforting hand on his comrade's shoulder, Elisa says, we're not alone. As the first rays of sunlight touch the ruined city, Luke knows there's no time to waste. No more hiding, he says, his voice ringing with newfound determination. We find the resistance. We find the truth. Together, they step out of the ruined building and start running, dodging through shattered streets, their eyes scanning every shadow. Ahead, the desolate highway stretches on, promising both danger and hope in equal measure. Luke leads the way, his steps firm, his gaze unwavering. Behind him, his comrades follow, united. The shattered wilderness loomed around them, a haunting landscape of twisted metal and crumbling concrete. Towering above were alien structures, spires of glimmering black crystal that pulsed with a faint, eerie light. The sky was tinted an unnatural green, and above the trees, silent drones shaped like stingrays hovered and scanned the ground. Their low hum sent chills down the soldiers' spines. "Move in tight," Luke had signaled to his squad, gesturing for them to take cover behind a cluster of twisted, glowing plants. The soldiers crouched low, their eyes darting between the alien plants and the menacing sky. It had been 3 days since they'd set out. 3 days of dodging patrols and radiation storms in this alien-infested wasteland. The journey was fraught with peril. Strange, beautiful plants reached out to them like grasping claws. Razor-sharp vipers hissed from their lairs. And always the drones patrolled silently in the sickly green sky. But so far, they'd managed to stay hidden. Then they came to a collapsed bridge over a wide river. The rusted metal groaned ominously, a testament to the relentless assault of this alien world. "Let's go check it out," Rodriguez said, his voice tight with tension. He was their tech expert, their eyes and ears in this hostile terrain. As the others waited, Rodriguez cautiously descended into the darkness. Moments later, his voice echoed back, tinged with wonder. "Guys, there's a tunnel under the riverbed. It's covered in this weird slime, but it might be our only way across without being spotted." The soldiers descended into the dark tunnel, their weapons at the ready. The air hung heavy, thick with the stench of decay. Alien slime dripped from the walls, catching the faint light filtering through cracks in the tunnel ceiling. Scattered bones lay about, some human, others clearly not. Suddenly, a faint clicking sound echoed through the narrow space, sending shivers down their spines. Miller froze, his hand tightening on his rifle. "Did you hear that?" From the shadows, a creature lunged forward. It was massive, towering over them at 7 feet. Its skin was translucent, revealing the pulsating veins within. Spider-like legs scuttled and clicked on the tunnel floor, and from its gaping jaws, 4 sets of razor-sharp teeth split open in a silent scream. "Open fire," Luke yelled, firing his rifle. The bullet connected, but the creature only twitched, its screeching growing louder. The squad opened fire together, their weapons blazing. The creature thrashed wildly, its screech turning into a gurgling roar. Finally, with a violent shudder, it collapsed. Jack panted heavily, his chest heaving. What the hell was that? Elissa knelt beside the still form, her eyes wide with wonder and fear. "Bioengineered," she whispered. "A living weapon. Whoever created this wanted us dead," Rodriguez added grimly. "They turned aliens into soldiers. Imagine what else they're capable of." They burned the corpse, its flesh sizzling ominously, and pushed on, their hearts pounding in unison. Hours later, they emerged into a ruined city. Tall buildings scraped the sickly green sky, their windows vacant sockets staring into the wasteland below. Thick, black vines wrapped around the structures, pulsing with an eerie blue light. On rooftops, perched silent and watchful, alien creatures greeted them. Luke scanned the horizon. "Denver," he breathed, his voice hoarse with emotion. Or what's left of it. They couldn't risk being detected, not now, not when they were so close. So they slipped into the underground metro tunnels, moving silently through the labyrinth beneath the ravaged city. Old human graffiti marked the walls, one particularly vivid. Sector 9-12 miles south. Hope sparked among the weary travelers. Maybe, just maybe, they weren't completely alone. Inside a tunnel, they found a human skeleton clutching a worn backpack. Inside was a battered journal. The last entry read, "The resistance has gone underground. Radiation levels rising. The aliens are hunting survivors. Don't trust any transmissions." Elisa's voice was barely a whisper. "They're evolving. They're becoming smarter, stronger." Suddenly, the tunnels trembled violently. Dust and debris rained down from the ceiling. A massive alien burst through the tunnel wall. It was taller than the others, its armor thicker, its eyes glowing with an eerie light. It stared at them silently, its expression unreadable. Then it spoke, its voice distorted and eerie. "Humans, still defiant after all this time." Luke yelled, "Run!" They scattered into side passages, explosions echoing behind them as the creature rampaged through the tunnels. The ceiling collapsed, trapping Milo and Brown. Their screams faded into silence, their fate sealed. The survivors pressed on, guilt heavy on their souls. Finally, they saw a glimmer of light ahead. As they moved towards it, the sound of voices reached them, human voices, pushing through a final barrier. They stepped into a vast cavern. A large metal door scanned them, then slowly opened, revealing a sanctuary of sorts. Inside, a ragtag group of human survivors huddled, their faces a mix of defiance and weariness. They were armed with scavenged weapons and wore makeshift armor cobbled together from the wreckage of the world. A woman stepped forward. Her face was lined and scarred, her eyes fierce and bright. "I'm Commander Lyra," she said, extending a hand to Luke. "Welcome to the Resistance." In that moment, surrounded by the remnants of humanity, Luke knew their fight for survival had just begun. The real battle, the battle for their very souls, was yet to come. The flickering lamplight danced in Commander Lyra's determined eyes. "This way," she said, leading them through a labyrinth of tunnels. They had followed her for days, ever since their ship, the Lazarus, crash-landed on this forgotten planet. Luke, Rodriguez, and Alyssa, the last surviving members of Cryo Team Delta, had been frozen in their cryostasis pods for 30 years. Now they were here, hunted by merciless aliens who seemed determined to eradicate every last human on Earth. Lyra suddenly stopped, gesturing to a gap in the tunnel wall. "Here," she whispered. Pushing aside a tattered curtain, she revealed a sight that made Luke's heart skip a beat. Before him lay an entire city, bustling with activity. It was an old subway station, repurposed into a resistance command center. Dozens of survivors worked tirelessly at makeshift terminals, assembling weapons, patching armor, even monitoring the aliens' movements. "We were frozen before the last invasion wave," Luke explained. "Cryo Team Delta." Lyra's eyes widened. That was 30 years ago. We thought all cryo teams were lost. Before Luke could reply, a young woman with grease-stained hands and a determined gaze rushed over. "Lyra," she asked urgently, "what's the status on the Lazarus?" When she saw the newcomers, her face broke into a wide grin. "Welcome to the Delta base. We've been expecting you." Rodriguez couldn't help but ask, "What happened to Earth?" Lyra sighed deeply. It came in waves. First, the ships arrived, massive, dark, unstoppable. Then came the terraformers reshaping the planet's surface. Finally, the harvesters, biological machines that consume everything. She pointed to a map covered with red zones. Most of North America is under alien control. Only a few sectors remain free. "We survive underground." Alyssa stepped forward, her voice filled with wonder. "Why are they still here? Why haven't they left after conquering?" Lyra's expression darkened. "Because Earth holds something they want, not just resources, but something deeper. They are transforming the planet to suit their needs." Luke clenched his fists. "Then we fight." Later that day, the Resistance held a quiet memorial for their fallen. Fires burned in metal barrels, casting dancing shadows on the faces of the gathered soldiers. They shared stories of lost friends and found hope in each other's eyes. Luke sat beside Lyra, his gaze distant. "We've lost two already, Miller and Brown." She nodded understandingly. "War takes everything, but as long as we breathe, we fight." She reached out, placing a hand on Luke's arm. Her touch was surprisingly warm, a grounding sensation in the cold, metallic place. As night deepened, they made their way to a hidden alcove, where a small group of engineers worked around a disassembled pulse bomb. This was their best chance to strike back, to show the aliens that they were not yet defeated. "We need to place it at one of their spires," Lyra said quietly. "Their central neural hubs are what coordinate the alien forces in this sector. If we overload the spire's core, we can disable all of their technology in the surrounding area." Jack, a wiry young man with a shock of red hair, looked up. "How far?" 30 miles north, deep in the black zone," Lyra answered, her voice betraying no fear. Luke stood up, his jaw set with determination. "Then let's go." The next few days were a blur of activity. The team prepared for their mission, gearing up, packing weapons and supplies. Lyra joined them, her presence a steady anchor in the mounting tension. Under cover of darkness, they traveled through ruined cities and forests twisted by alien growth. Every shadow could hold death. Every rustle might signal an ambush. But they pushed on, driven by the hope that their sacrifice might bring about a better future for the survivors on this forsaken world. They finally reached the spire's outer ring, an obsidian tower that stretched endlessly toward the alien sky. Strange symbols glowed on its surface, pulsing with an eerie light. Drones patrolled the area, their silent buzzing a constant reminder of the danger that lurked nearby. "There's an old sewage tunnel," Alyssa said, pointing to a jagged opening in the side of the tower. "It's cracked open by alien growths, but it should lead us right into the spire." Inside, Inya hung heavy with the stench of decay and the hum of alien energy. Strange growths clung to the tunnel walls, pulsating faintly in the darkness. As they moved deeper into the spire, the air grew colder, the silence broken only by the sound of their own breathing. Finally, they reached the core, a massive crystalline structure hummed with power, tendrils of light reaching out like grasping claws. This was the source of the alien control, the nexus of their power in this sector. Working quickly, Luke and Alyssa planted the pulse bomb at the base of the crystalline structure. Then they raced for the exit, the ticking bomb a countdown to their final stand. As they reached the tunnel's end, a chilling voice echoed inside their minds. "You are insects. This world belongs to us now." Luke gritted his teeth, his eyes blazing with defiance. Not yet. He activated the bomb, sending a surge of energy through the crystalline core. The entire spire shuddered as if in pain. Ships above faltered and crashed. The creatures writhed, collapsing to the ground, their bodies twitching. Back at the base, cheers erupted. Hope, a fragile flower, blossomed in the darkness. Lyra turned to the others, her face pale but resolute. "This is our first victory, but there will be more. I promise you that." As the sun rose, casting the first real dawn Luke had seen in decades, He knew this was just the beginning. They had a long way to go, many battles to win. But standing here, battered but unbroken, he felt a surge of pride. "We were frozen in time," he said softly, "but now we fight." Rodriguez placed a hand on his shoulder, his eyes shining with gratitude. "To the end," Alyssa smiled, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "Or to a new beginning." Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this thrilling journey of survival and hope, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a story like this. Your support means everything. Stay tuned for more amazing adventures.
Hi guys, please subscribe.